We turned off the county highway, with the windows cracked to catch that cold lake smell, and my kid in the back showing my wife a goofy photo of me grilling in the rain. And then Grace screamed. A yellow excavator swung through the wall of our lake house like it was peeling an orange drywall dust hanging in the trees, while the claw punched straight through my daughter's old window, and I remember thinking, this has to be a prank. This can't be my life. But yeah, that happened. I jumped from the truck, gravel slipping under my boots, yelling to kill the engine. That's my house, and the foreman just held up a clipboard like a traffic cop and said orders from the HOA delinquent balance, $72,000, and change board approved accelerated enforcement. And my brain stalled, because I don't live in an HOA. Never have my 5 acres sit off a private road with 2 survey pins and a row of birch trees marking the line. You know what I mean. When the machine finally went quiet, you could hear glass settling inside the frame, that tink, tink, tink that makes your stomach drop. And there on the rubble floor, I found the bronze plate I'd bolted above the fireplace the day we finished. The place Staff Sergeant Noah Miller, my older brother. The reason a flag flies at my dock and a knot of pride sits in my throat when the wind kicks up. And as I wiped that plaque clean on my jacket, something inside me changed from shaking rage to ice water. Stillness, like the storm blew through and left the air sharp. And I said it out loud to nobody. You picked the wrong address, Pamela. I'm Jake Miller. Carpenter by trade, electrician by apprenticeship. The friend people call when their panel hums and their joists sag. And I bought this land before Silver Birch Lake Estates was anything but a developer's dream. Paid cash I earned with splinters in my gums. Built the house one tired weekend at a time with Noah, and when the shiny subdivision finally rolled in with its stone sign and perfect mailboxes, the developer tried to buy me out for a clubhouse lot. I mailed him a certified copy of my deed and a county plat with my parcel highlighted like a school project, and a note that said, "Not interested, thanks." That's when I met Pamela Crane, the kind of person who whispers rules like prayers and treats bylaws like scripture. She showed up at 6 a.m. with a laminated sheet and said unapproved vertical structure, $500 chin aimed at my flagpole, like it insulted her personally. I pointed at the boundary stake she was standing beside and explained again that my parcel was outside her covenant, and she gave me a smile with no teeth and slid the ticket into my hand like she was feeding birds. Then a glossy letter about my dock ruining shoreline aesthetics. So I hauled my permits and my patience to a public meeting. A couple board members apologized, Pamela. Wrapped both hands around a thermos and stared at me like a rattlesnake. Learned to wear boots, and for a while the letters stopped. She'd pass me at the grocery store and pretend I was oxygen. And I figured she picked a new target to scold about trash bins. Turns out she was waiting for me to blink. After the demolition, I called insurance, said the word, and listened to a human voice turn into paperwork in real time, governmental action exclusion. Sorry, sir. Take it up with the association, so. I kissed Emily and Grace at the motel, promised chicken tenders and a movie later, and drove straight to the county records office, which smells like old paper and burned coffee. My favorite scent when the world goes sideways. And there it was on the original subdivision plat. My parcelle lay outlined bold and dark with a handwritten note. Dated before their covenants existed, sold prior to formation. Exempt from all association bylaws, the kind of line you build a life on. I scanned it for my files, kept digging, and found a revised boundary map filed 2 years ago that looked official until you set it beside the real one. Same fonts, same layout, same county seal. Except the seal was a fuzzy copy, and my parcel was shaded right into their kingdom, attached to some closed door. Minutes and 3 signatures. Pamela's and 2 directors. And that heat. You feel off a griddle. Climbed my neck. Not a mistake. A move. Carl from the assessor's office, who I've known since shop class, drifted by and whispered that I didn't hear it from him. Bigger footprint on paper makes the whole neighborhood look pricier. Justifies bigger dues. More fines. Private meetings started last year, and he looked tired in his bones. So I walked out with copies and took a slow drive through Silver Birch, knocking on doors, and folks cracked them an inch to say they'd heard the commotion, but didn't want trouble. Please don't say my name. You get it. Fear has a smell. Then I met Daryl Hunt, retired fire inspector, with hands like cinder blocks, who poured coffee at his kitchen table, buried in violation letters, and slid one over with a number that made me blink twice. $12,000 for tomato vines. Creeping 2 inches over the sidewalk, obstruction of public access, he said. Like he was reading a bad joke. Dues up 3 times, liens for driveway hoops and weekend RVs, and the wrong color mulch. And in that stack of petty cruelty, I finally saw Pamela's trophy plan. If you bulldoze the guy who never played your game, you break everyone else without lifting a finger. I considered running for the board for a hot second. Then remembered how long she's been stacking that table. I didn't want a seat. I wanted the table. So I called the late developer's daughter, told her I wanted to make a cash offer on 12 interior lots that flooded every spring. She asked why on earth I said long-term play, which was only half a lie. And 2 days later, I walked out of a lawyer's office with 12 recorded deeds in my name. 1 lot equals 1 vote in Silver Birch, and if Pamela dragged me into her club on paper, then on paper, I'd own the room. We had a quiet backyard meeting at Daryl's with blinds half shut. Neighbors came in twos, like they were sneaking into church. I laid out the original plat, the forged map. The 12 deeds, like a dealer cutting a hot deck, and people who thought they were going crazy started talking like their throats finally unclenched. Bylaw 4.3 says 5 owners can force a special meeting with 10 days' notice. We got 22 signatures by sundown. I filed the notice by the book and tacked it to the community board. So neat a kindergarten teacher would be proud. And the next morning, Pamela blasted an email titled, "Unauthorized and invalid," and threatened legal action. I replied with 1 sentence, quoting 4.3, and CC'd the neighborhood, see you there. The clubhouse was shoulder to shoulder on meeting night kids on scooters outside, because nobody trusted leaving them home. Pamela sat at the folding table with her nephew Tyler, baby-faced lawyer with a brand new briefcase, and 2 board members who wanted to be invisible. She called the meeting to order in a principal voice, and I rose for a point of order. Voting rights must reflect parcels owned. I placed the 12 stamped deeds on the table where the camera phones could see a wind of murmurs hit the room. Tyler whispered fast. I set down the forged map beside them, and I hit play on my phone. The foreman's voice from demolition day saying orders from the HOA. The signature that matters is right there. Pamela popped from her chair and snapped fake. This is slander. And Tyler started tossing words at the ceiling. Tortious this and defamation that. I raised my hand and made a motion to remove Pamela Crane as president, effective immediately. Refer all finances to an independent audit and forward evidence of falsified records to law enforcement. Daryl's voice rumbled. Seconded from the back, ends went up. My block, plus the proxies, carried it 32-3, and Pamela stared straight through me like I was a stain on her carpet. Next morning, a courier dropped off a nuisance lawsuit from Tyler, accusing half the neighborhood of defamation and conspiracy, the scare tactic kind. That night at 2 a.m., my phone buzzed with a motion alert, and I tapped into the job site cameras I'd mounted at the property. 2 figures in hoodies moved like they practiced one. Pried open the well pump and smashed it. The other clipped the electrical, like trimming roses. Donna Brooks stepped into the glow long enough for the camera to catch her face. The HOA's self-appointed patrol queen. I screen recorded, then remembered the wildlife cameras I'd left along the deer trail years back, and pulled up a clip from 15 minutes earlier. An SUV stopped on a side street. Pamela stepped out, handed Donna a crowbar, and pointed toward my land. Marching orders caught in moonlight. And I slept fine after that in the morning. I carried a thumb drive to the sheriff's office and watched the detective watch the video. He didn't speak, he just sighed at the crowbar handoff and stood to make a call. And for the first time in weeks, the ground felt solid under my boots. We held our first fully open meeting as an interim board and invited local news because sunlight disinfects what due process can't reach fast. I asked 3 people to bring facts only. Mark Delaney, a structural engineer who said plain as a grocery list that the house had been sound and the permit relied on false claims supplied by the association. Olivia Chen, a licensed surveyor who put the original plat beside the forgery and circled a blurry county seal and digitally altered lines, and said in her professional opinion the map was a deliberate falsification. And Dr. Dana Ruiz, a handwriting analyst, who explained pressure points and stroke order and showed that the demolition order signature that looked like Pamela's wasn't, and that the 2 board signatures on those minutes weren't either. All 3 forged by the same hand, and the room went still. In that way, crowds go still. When a fight is over and everyone knows who is on the floor. The back doors banged open like a cue, and Pamela stormed in with Tyler scrambling behind. She yelled, "This is an illegal meeting. You have no authority." I slid 2 envelopes across the table without standing a cease and desist for misrepresentation and notice of a civil suit for fraud and destruction of property. Then clicked to bank statements. The new board pulled that morning $9,200 to a contractor at Pamela's home for a master bath, $12,000 to Tyler's firm, $6,000 to a spa retreat, $1,800 for steakhouse dinners. One board member muttered, "I'm done," and resigned on the mic. And 2 deputies stepped in, quiet as fog, and said, "Ms. Crane, please come with us," to answer questions about forgery, trespass, and destruction of property. Tyler opened his mouth, then shut it so hard his teeth clicked. Pamela looked for an exit and saw only phones and a red tally light and her own reflection in 100 eyes. And she moved. People ask if that's the happy ending, if justice was served, and we rebuilt with hurricane-rated windows and the blue door. Grace picked. But that's not the point. The point is simpler and rougher. Paper is a weapon. It can bulldoze your wall, and it can open someone else's cell. I didn't get my house back that night, and I didn't get my brother back. What I got was my say that quiet thing in your chest that tells you you're not crazy, you're not small. You don't have to bow to people who love whispering rules at you. And maybe that's all any of us want. You know what I mean. So tell me straight. Do neighborhoods need HOAs to stay decent? Or have we let too many people swing the rule book like a stick at their neighbors? Have you dealt with a Pamela where you live? Did anyone stand up, or did everyone study their shoes and hope the storm passed? Drop your story in the comments. Argue with me. If you think I'm wrong, and if you want more real fights like this one, hit subscribe, so the next person who needs to hear they're not crazy hears it. Where are you watching from, and what would you have done the second you turned that corner and saw a machine clawing at your front door?